All right.
Welcome to Living by Oak Values, a show where we break down the values that make us better men, better leaders, and better humans. I'm Gary, the Superior Mailman, here at Living by Oak Values, where we are real, raw, and ready to rebuild. So let's dive in and make this unforgettable.
And I'm Rob, and you'll have to give me 1 second as I open my phone to our YouTube channel so that I can see if anybody is making comments.
Oh, yeah, good job.
Yeah, I know.
I can't
Uh,
multitask.
well, it just went off, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So,
Huh?
where was I? Where was I? And today we are
You're
talking
Rob.
about a value. I'm Rob. Oh, I am Rob. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about a value that is foundational. Have you ever asked yourself, um, I'm checking my true feelings, impulses when dealing with others? Well, whether you've been with us from the start or just now tuning in, welcome to the crew. And by the way, we have a cool next level dad packet on our website, northmancoaching.com. It is free, just put in your name and email and download the PDF. And so today's theme, we're going to talk about restraint. Everybody talks about action, grind, ambition, but nobody talks about knowing when not to speak, when not to react, or when not to post.
All right, Rob. Let's talk about the most misunderstood strengths that a man can have.
One
Restraint.
second though.
What's up?
We need you to post in the comments below.
Me?
If you, anybody, while we're doing this podcast, post something you like. If this means anything to you. Sorry, I like interrupting you.
You're good, man. So let's talk about misunderstood strengths that a man can have, which is the number one misunderstood strength is restraint.
Uh-huh.
Because restraint isn't weakness. Although a lot of people think it is weakness, it's power that is under control.
Mm, exactly. And it's easy to react. It's easy to lash out. I'm guilty of it. It's easy to dominate, but it takes real strength to pause, breathe, and choose not to. That's what separates us from being a boy and a man, a woman and uh, a girl and a woman, and a man from a leader.
Hmm. And that also includes words, not just actions. Just because we've got something on our mind, it doesn't mean that it needs to come out of our mouth. And prior to doing this work, if it was in my brain, it was coming out of my mouth. So
Mm,
holding your tongue isn't silence. It's true wisdom, especially in
mm.
relationships and parenting.
And there's a huge difference between emotional discipline and emotional repression. And
Hmm.
I kind of did the later. Restraint isn't about bottling things up. It's about how do you channel them? How do you deal with the stress?
Yeah, how do you
Sorry.
deal with it? It's a good question. Back
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to deal with it with repression, whether it was
Hmm.
numbing it up, drinking or just scrolling or just hiding from it all. So emotional discipline. If you have discipline, you are feeling all of your emotions fully, but you're choosing to respond with intention. If you
Yeah.
are repressing, that means you're avoiding and you're burying your emotions. You're choosing not to feel them. But
Yeah.
if you do that, they will surface later in very unhealthy ways.
Oh
So
yeah.
one way to control is through awareness. The other way is through denial or avoidance. And denial and avoidance is not going to be good.
And I think it goes down to resentment because I had a lot of resentment because I didn't speak up because I was repressing my thoughts.
Hmm. I think that's where we all were at one point.
Yeah.
We didn't want to speak up, especially going through divorce.
Mm.
I know that there was an inkling in the back of my mind that I could potentially save what was already gone.
Mm.
We were already flatlined, but I was like, keep going with the CPR, whatever. I got this. So I'm going to hold back because if I speak my mind, then I'll for surely be putting this into the grave. So
And kids watch your actions. and you model how they handle their own storms. They watch us. We don't always see them watching us, I promise you. They see how we handle all our frustrations and they model restraint, especially in the hard moments, if you can restrain yourself.
So I want to take one step. You know where I'm
I
going,
hope
right?
you're going to tell a story about your daughter because she
Yeah.
does a very good job at modeling this.
Yes. Well, it's not restraint. It's
Oh,
what
yeah,
kids
no,
see. So
no, I'm
and
talking about listens when you don't even know she's listening.
oh yeah, well that too. But so we're gonna do a podcast on mindset shortly. But me and you were just
Yeah.
talking. You and I were just talking about mindset, and I generally have a very good mindset. But lately, there's been a lot going on in my mind, on my shoulders, and I really need to meditate and dig into that. But on Father's Day, we went surfing, and my roof racks came off of my car
Mm.
while driving to the beach. So not off the car, but they definitely are not in a safe spot right now. And I said, and I can't believe I said this. I said, why is this happening to me? And my daughter, who is 13, said, Dad, I'm pretty sure it's just happening. It's not happening to you. And I was like, holy geez, what am I doing? But just that right there. And then I talked to her about it. She goes, that's because that's what you always say. She goes, when you say when things are going wrong for me, you tell me that they're just happening. Not it's not to you. She's like, I'm learning. So what was that?
I had to cough. I'm sorry.
That was that noise? Okay. That was a weird call. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. So now that we're through all that. So where were we now? Restraint and indulgence, right? I think maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Go
So
ahead.
let's not forget to restrain ourselves during indulgence. We live in a culture where we all want more of this, more money, more stuff, more food. We want to spend more. We have more temptation. But it builds character to have restraint. By knowing that we could, but not doing it, by saying no, it builds character.
I think that's a good point. It's kind of like restraint isn't a gift that people have, and they don't. It's a muscle that you have to train. I have to practice it every day, and every time you restrain the urge to go in a rage, to pitch a fit, to scroll, to escape, you get better at restraining yourself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like
Go
going.
go eating. Yeah, eating.
The more you do it, the stronger you get.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, so today we are going to dive deep into how the strength of restraint shapes us as fathers, as men, as leaders. So let's get into it.
All right. First question.
What you got?
It says, "Tell me a time when restraint helped keep your composure in order to you to grow more than action would have."
Ah, that's an easy one. All right. So, and I hate going through this. So every episode we do this, but my divorce, and that's what started this whole all this work. But
Mm.
having a discussion with my ex-wife when
Mm.
we were freshly divorced, there was no restraint. I would blow up. She could say one word, it would get under my skin, and I am 100% convinced and sure that she did it on purpose. She knew those words were going to get under my skin, and she knew I'd blow up. And like you said earlier, the more you practice restraint, the stronger you get. So I knew that if I practice restraint, that it would get stronger, and my daughter would not see me blow up. I don't really care what the ex-wife sees, does, or says, but I don't want my daughter to see a weak man, a weak father, a weak leader. So I
Mm.
knew that I had to, practice restraint. Um, I didn't really know that it was restraint at first. I was just holding back. I was trying to. The coach that I had at the time had told me to to feel all my feelings, to look at each feeling and really dig down into what I was truly feeling, what each feeling meant, and then respond after I am aware of the feelings. So the more I did that, the better I got. Now I can go and pick my daughter up, and my ex could yell at me or whatever, and she takes a lot of things out on me because I don't think she wants to ruin the relationship she has with a boyfriend. So she will take
Mm.
it. Why not? I'm an easy target. She can take it out on me. But now that I have restraint and it is strong, I have no problem either just walking away, listening to it, shaking my head, moving on.
A little inner story of mine is I actually relate to that story
Okay.
because communicating with my ex, and I tell this to don't respond with a text for what was it? Sit on the text for like a day, then send the text.
Okay.
And I recommend that to everybody. Restrain yourself from responding to a text right away. And I would sit on it and I would say a paragraph and I'd be like, do I really need to send her all this paragraph text? And then I'd start shortening it down. By the end of the night, it'd be like like one paragraph and a couple questions. And then by tomorrow morning, it'd be a little shorter to the point where it was just two sentences, maybe. And I would respond the next day because I had restrained myself and realized that it wasn't necessary.
Hmm. So on that note,
Is there a time? Go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah, I think you're going to answer the question that is
what?
the next question with the story.
Well, answer.
So,
What's the question?
is did you realize that you didn't have to respond every time, but you chose when or if you respond at all?
Did I? I mean, now, yes. Then, no. I once again, I think it went back to trying to bring the marriage back to life. Where if I
Hmm.
responded, I was doing the right thing. Now, if I don't
Yeah.
want to respond, I don't respond, or I will respond, but later, or after I have thought about it. But my question I was going to ask you was, because you said you looked at it, you get a text and you either respond right away, or you make this big story, and then the next day it's only a paragraph, and then it's smaller and smaller. Did you ever
Yeah.
read a text and get
The wrong
something
way?
totally different out of it, and
Yes.
not
Yes.
take time and respond or react to it, and then they blow up on you, and you go
Yes.
back to the text, and you're like, what? That's not what I read. Oh my god,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done that so many times.
There have been many times in a conversation where my ex was like, "Yeah, I told you that." And I would go back and look in the text and I don't read it the same way she read it. And so I didn't pick up on those little subtle clues,
Yeah,
hints or little things that it's like now I kind of understand she was frustrated, but I didn't
yep,
back then. I thought she was just ranting and raving about something else.
yep, been there, done that.
Yeah.
So we talked about earlier how restraint was like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
So, is there an area in your life where you are currently working on strengthening your what do you call it? Restraint. Like when I say strength and restraint, I get it's weird. It's like selling seashells by the shore with Sally or whatever it is. Anyway, while you exercise restraint, is there any area of your life that it is hard or easy right now?
You skipped a section.
What section?
Where does it start? But that's okay. To answer your question, yes, I am constantly learning with my fiance the consequences of not being having restraint and
Hmm.
learning to restrain. Sometimes she flies off the handle about something, and I have to restrain myself and say, it's not about me. She's just flying off the handle. And I have to say, restrain yourself and just be with her in the moment. Don't
Mm.
judge her. Don't Don't get pissy mad because she's not doing what you want her. She's not happy because something's happening in her life. Just sit there with her in the moment and ask her questions or be there for her to vent to.
Okay. So, Rob, where does restraint start?
And, well, thank you for going backwards on me.
Totally missed that part. Sorry.
I know, but that was my favorite story part.
Ah,
I actually, in my head, restraint goes back to my parents
okay.
and my dad, in particular my dad.
Hmm.
I would go out and my dad would be working on a like a mobile home or a trailer. And I'd
Hmm.
be like, "Hey dad, maybe this is a better idea. Shut up, boy. Do what you're told.
Gotcha.
Don't talk to me, just do what you're told." That's how I learned restraint in my house. And I know it's kind of common for kids to be just told shut up and do it. And it's just like, wow,
All right. So,
how does that teach restraint?
if you learned strength or restraint from your dad as a boy, then why was it so difficult during your marriage?
Because I didn't learn it the right way.
Ah, explain that one
Yeah.
if you can.
Well, I don't know that I didn't learn it the right way. It just, I had a lot of failures, and that
Okay.
taught me how to learn it the right way. How about
Okay.
that?
That's good. All right. Tell your favorite story. Go ahead.
Um, no,
I do
I
love the
don't.
story. No, you got to tell it. I love the story. Tell it.
Well, the one time where I knew I had to restrain myself.
Hmm.
And I mean, it was conscious. Keep your mouth shut, Robert. Don't say a damn word. I almost sounded like my dad in my own head. Shut up, boy. Don't say a word. You need to get out of here. Was in the divorce court. The judge is sitting there going, speak your mind or forever hold your peace. And she's got the hammer and she's about to slam it on the table. And in my head, I'm like you. I'm like, oh, I could say something and just stop this process and extend it longer. And then I looked at my attorney, and he had already told me, he says, "You're not getting out of here that quick as you thought." And I'm like, "Keep your mouth shut, Robert. You have a plane to go catch. You have a trip to go." And this trip had already been planned months ahead of my divorce. I had to actually do a lot of reorganizing just to delay it till after the courthouse closed. But the judge was running late. And so as soon as the hammer fell, and she said dismiss. I ran out of the courthouse, jumped in my car, drove down to the airport, and there was nobody in the TSA line. I walked through the TSA line and ran into the airplane 2 minutes before they shut the door.
Excellent. I do love that story. That
So
that could have
it
gone
was,
sideways.
yeah, it could have gone sideways if I had opened my mouth.
Hmm.
But there was a purpose for my head to go, don't say anything, Robert. Don't say anything. You have something else to do.
Yeah.
Because I could have said something and that judge probably would have taken an hour going, what do you mean by this? Blah, 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 blah. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it was the skin of my teeth. I made it to the airplane just in time.
Yes.
I mean, they
Good
were
story.
literally shutting the door. So I was putting my shoes on right before I walked onto the airplane.
I would have ran barefoot. Screw it.
I did. Well, I did. I did. I ran
Oh, okay.
barefoot from the TSA all the way to the door, the door that they check your tickets.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was in socks, but I was running all the way. They held it open for me to put my shoes on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Uh,
All right. Where
so
were we since I screwed it all up?
yeah, we're talking about the difference between a healthy restraint, which that kind of
Oh,
was.
yeah.
It actually was a little bit of a fear-based restraint, but fear-based avoidance. Oh shoot, I said that whole question wrong. What's the difference between a healthy restraint and a fear avoidance in your life? Oh, yeah.
Well, that's easy. I mean, a healthy restraint is feeling the feelings and responding accordingly. And avoiding it would be you get that text or you get that call and you just push your phone to the side and you pretend it never happened.
Mm.
I mean, if you can go deeper if you want, and avoiding could be the same as the what was it called? Why can't I think of it? I'm having a brain fart. Where you're just numbing yourself, but that's not really
Yes.
avoiding. That's accepting it but covering it. So, but I would say avoiding it would be pushing your phone to the side or choosing not to go where you're supposed to go or be where you're supposed to be in order to not deal with something. But
Yeah.
same with burying those feelings. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's gonna come back and it's gonna bite you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Healthy
go ahead.
restraint feels good. It's kind of like I have to stop myself because I want to do something better.
Okay, sure.
Or the fear-based restraint is more like um uh if I do it, I'm going to get in trouble. Or
Yeah. Well, that's fear.
yeah, I don't know how the best way to put it.
So, while you think on that, I have a small question for you, or a mini
All
question, I
right.
guess you'd call it. So, when you were in the courtroom before that gavel came down, and you were
Uh,
having that restraint, was that healthy restraint, or was that fear based? Because you didn't want to miss that plane. So that's sounds like fear, but you knew this trip would be healthy. So it's kind of like, where does it fly?
well, it is healthy restraint
Okay.
because I was restraining myself because I knew I had something else to do. I wasn't restraining myself fear of somebody's
Okay.
wrath
Gotcha.
of something. Uh, I think acting on it would have been more fear. I'm fear that if I don't act, I will never get back together. You see,
Mm, okay.
or yeah, because there is a whirlwind of thoughts that run through your head as you're sitting there going, "What in the world is this judge talking about?"
Gotcha.
So
All right. So then, how does restraint relate to freedom? And can you truly be free without restraint?
I don't think my story is answering that question properly.
What do you mean?
So mm, the best thing I have is like moments when you restrain, especially like choosing not to participate.
Hmm.
Um, that is a freedom that shoot. It's kind of like you're choosing a freedom versus people telling you what to do. Oh shoot, I did not think about that straight.
Okay. I can help you with that if you want. I think that restraint is freedom because it's like inner freedom because you know
Mm,
that you can
yes.
hold back and you know that you can feel what's going on and that you can respond accordingly versus if I have no control, no self-control, and I'm going to explode. It might feel good to explode, but in the end it's not freedom because the person that you're exploding at is controlling you.
Yeah.
And that's how it was, when I was going through my divorce. The very early stages of it, it was she had complete control.
Yeah.
I thought I did have control, and I thought that exploding was controlling, and I thought it was healthy to blow up and get it off my chest, but it was not at all.
I did that a lot too. I blew up at my parents. And talk about freedom and control and restraint. I was always told freedom in America,
Hmm.
you have to vote.
Okay.
Shoved down your throat. You have to vote if you're an American. It's your right,
Right.
but it's also a choice.
Well, it's always a choice. You don't have to do
So
anything.
you don't have to choose one or the other either.
Right. Of course not.
I don't vote very often because I care deeply about not voting for somebody who I wouldn't really want in office. I
So can I
couldn't
tell you?
vote for those last. I, So, and I feel violated almost if I did vote for those two. Honest to
Okay.
truth,
All right.
and it's not about like it takes courage to say no. I ain't voting for you. I'm not voting for you either. So,
Gotcha.
but but
So I want to
people
tell you
will
that
look down upon you for doing that. So.
I don't know. I just feel if you don't vote, then you don't have a right to complain. But you do. You have a right to do whatever you want. But there's a story that
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I never told you.
All right. Uh-oh.
So when I voted this year or last year in 24, um, for was it mayor, governor? I forget, governor maybe of Rhode Island, one of them. But there was only a Democrat, and he's already in office and he's doing a terrible job. I actually penciled your name in.
Really?
I did. But I think it was right after I
Yeah.
did that I realized that your name is not really Robert Burton.
It isn't really Robert Burton.
Yes, it's Jeffrey Dahmer.
They would have a hard time finding me. Yeah.
So anyway,
That's actually a good idea. Maybe you should start having people voting for mayor. Tell them to put in the superior mailman.
that I might actually. He did exist then, the Spirit Mailman, but he was nobody. He had like 12 followers. He might
Yeah,
win.
but think
He might
about it.
win.
What if you yeah, he
How would
might.
I be a
That would
mailman,
be
a coach, and mayor? That'd be difficult.
hmm.
Yeah,
Well, you wouldn't be a yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
but yeah,
all right. So I think we pretty much wrapped that up. So that's a
that
wrap
was a
on today's
good.
episode, guys. Remember, real strength isn't found in doing whatever you want. It's in knowing you could, but choosing not to. That's power that most people miss. And it's how we build the kind of life that we want to last.
And don't forget to tag us. Living by Oak Values. Uh, oh, and why don't you just tell us how you composed yourself this week? I used restraint. Maybe you used it in your boss. So
Boss, your kid, anybody.
yeah, anybody.
So I want to remind everybody this week, don't just live by Oak values. Reach out and grab a one-on-one with us. We are here to help you master the emotional game. Catch us on YouTube or follow me, Superior Mailman, on TikTok for more wisdom and real talk.
But you're on more than just TikTok. You're on Facebook.
Yeah, true. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I think that's it. Instagram.
LinkedIn? Did you get the LinkedIn page or whatever?
I I
Yeah.
don't I don't know how to use LinkedIn. I'm on it, but
But
I'm not.
But also, if you want to have a real conversation with real men, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, go to our website, events tab, and we have a men's group that meets, and we just talk and deep dive into lives, the ups and downs. We would love to have you at the table.
Yes, please join us. It'd be great. Anyways, the big things are coming to Live Milk Values, guys. We have new episodes. We have bold guests. We have a guest coming next week. I'm not going to say who he is, but big one next week. Deeper conversations, plus more live shows and real-time chat. So if you have a story or value, and we know you did, and if that value or story has changed your life, we want to hear it. This next chapter is all about you. So let's make it unforgettable. Until then, keep embracing your values and stay authentic.
All right, give me a second to. Oops.